This One Up podcast is brought to you by Doritos Unlock Xbox contest. Visit www.unlockxbox.com to turn your dream into the world's first user-generated Xbox video game.
Hello and welcome once again to GFW Radio. We are back. After a week's break, we were off at E3, and now we have returned. Well, Ryan, you never left, but you're back anyway.
Yay.
Yay. By the way, you didn't stage your coup d'etat while we were gone. I came back, and I was still boss. What's up with that? You had your big chance.
I was playing WoW all week.
That's great. At least you were playing a game for once on the PC.
Yep.
So there's a start.
There's
hope for you yet. We're all here. That was Ryan Scott, you heard. Also with us today are
Darren Gladstone,
Sean Elliott,
Sean Malloy,
and me, Jeff Green. Sean Malloy is looking extra intelligent today because he's wearing glasses.
That's right.
It's the new Sean Malloy. Or is it the
It's
old
actually
Sean
the old
Malloy?
Sean Malloy.
Okay.
I lost them 2 years ago. And then I found them again and realized I see much better with them. So I had to put them back on.
So you weren't using contacts this whole time?
No.
So the guy who reads the magazine more closely than anyone every month.
No, it's for distance.
Okay. These articles look great. So we're here. We're here. Hi.
That's the best you can say.
We had an exhausting week, except for Ryan, I guess.
Oh, I had an exhausting week, too.
Yeah, it really sounds like it.
Playing WoW all the time?
I had to edit all of you guys' previews
Oh, I'm sorry.
that you wrote at E3.
Yeah, we were kind of mailing it in, too.
Yeah, it looked better when I was drunk writing it.
Yeah, I wasn't drunk. I was just tired.
I was sober, dude. Crispin Boyer from EGM and I actually suggested that our bylines be the internet. That way we wouldn't have to worry about, I don't know,
That's such a
having our
good
names
call.
attached to it. But it was fine, though, and
Yeah.
we kept our bylines, and we just stayed up late writing them.
Keeps you honest
Yeah,
with the byline.
Yeah, I didn't need a byline on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you got to look at
not
the
really
other side,
proud
though.
of anything I wrote.
You
Huh?
did better than many people.
Whatever.
Were you
What's
what's
the other
keeping a
Suck
scorecard?
up.
What's the other side, Sean?
Well, just the world of online, you know? I mean, you need the tech stuff, that moment. And I think the thing, you know, not to disparage it because there's a wide variety of stories that will appear online that people want, but I think especially during this convention, if you look at the discussions and message boards and wherever else, people just wanted the fact sheets.
They wanted,
they wanted a
info
general
dump. Yep.
like
Something
Just
to
wanted a
discuss for the
screenshot.
next
how
one.
excited are you for it? You know, and is this no? Actually, they didn't even care about that. Is this the best game at the show or is it not? And then tell me like 5 things that you can do in the game. You know,
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
and really, so.
And
It
if
was
you're a
just a whole
Fallout
other
fan,
mode.
if you're a Fallout fan, there isn't one thing you could have learned about this game that didn't make you want to hate it.
Really?
I'm just saying, I actually like it a lot. I'm talking about the Fallout message boards, which were
Oh.
aflame with hatred no matter what you said. And on my blog, too. Everything is further proof that this game is going to suck. I feel sorry for those guys.
Let's just dig right into that then.
Yeah.
Let's go into Fallout. What
Well-
are they got their panties in a bunch over?
Everything. It doesn't matter. Everything is a further sign that Bethesda's going to fuck it up. This is one of those games where, like, with fans like these, you know,
There is no defense unless you...
who needs enemies?
Yeah.
So basically, there is
I've
no
never
defense.
seen so much hate.
It's like they expect it to be just turn-based or nothing, basic, is what it sounds like.
Kind of, yeah.
It's sort of that. It's sort of they don't like the perspective. They don't like that it's going to be played out that way. They don't like that Bethesda's doing it. You know, everything that was wrong with Oblivion and previous games is proof that they're going to fuck up this game according to them.
I mean, that's where I differ right away, is I do think Oblivion is quite excellent. And if you don't,
Well, you obviously don't understand Fallout then, Sean.
You don't understand the intricacies of the vault. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to appease them.
I see. That's the thing.
You
There is
can't-
no
you
appeasing.
Yeah,
There
you're,
is
you're
no-
trying to appease
They
the
are
internet.
determined to hate this game.
It's the same principle. I'm used to seeing it in the multiplayer shooter space, and this here's a chance to actually bring up the fact that we work for a magazine. But you know, our next GFW interview is with Paul Wedgwood of Splash Damage. But one thing that he pointed out, which I found interesting, is that very similarly, you make a game, it does well. People do not want it to change to the point, and I can vouch for this. You know, where even a patch, there are people that as soon as a new patch comes out, you get the same kind of message board reactions that you're describing, but oh god, they don't know, DICE doesn't know anything, or they ruined it again. We're reverting to the old patch, and everyone who wants to play the real game, stay with us.
Right.
But then what he said that I found funny was that when they first made Wolfenstein Enemy Territory, everyone was like, oh, we don't want anything to do with this. This isn't the real multiplayer Wolfenstein, that shipped with the game. And then, of course, Wolfenstein Enemy Territory became massive.
Yeah.
Everyone loved it. And then now it's like, oh, God, this game's already perfect. And why didn't they just remake that with better graphics? Why are they fucking it all up with Quake Wars and stuff?
Yeah.
You can't
And
Yeah,
you
they
see it
can't
over and
win.
over again, no matter what
Yeah.
the game is. I'm sure with MMOs, it's the same way. And there's just a certain, I don't know what it is about people. They find something, they like it and love it, and they think it's supposed to be, just like Lennon in his old, waxy
It's been 10 years since the last Fallout game. There's guys who have been on the Fallout message boards ever since.
Right.
You know,
It
You
sounds
can still
like,
play Fallout.
Yeah, it
Yes,
sounds like they were
and
just
that
hoping
game's-
for more, like, a Fallout expansion pack.
Read your.
yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, unless Tim Kaine and those original developers were making the exact sequel to the next game, I just think there was no way that this wasn't going to feel like a betrayal to them.
And they haven't seen it. They just heard about it. They're listening,
Right.
it's
There
just
really,
interesting
honestly,
people
hasn't
saying
been
it's
that much
first-person
about
game.
the game yet. I mean, someone was telling someone on my blog. I wrote about it on my blog, and I said something about the humor. And a poster on my blog said something about, well, it looks to me just like the humor is like totally juvenile. And I was like, the amount of dialogue they've even released to show off what the humor is going to be like in the game is like 0.00001 of
Right.
the entire game. So I'm like, what are you basing that on?
And I wonder
the guy
just
responded-
and also,
But his response to that was, okay, yeah, there's that. But Todd Howard, who's the lead developer, he gave an interview at E3. He was demoing the game for all of us, and one of those demos, the transcript showed up online, and he was making some pretty dumb jokes, some kind of juvenile jokes. And I said, this is just a guy sitting in a room with a bunch of journalists,
Yeah.
just like talking off the cuff. That's not representative of what's going to be in the game. But this guy took that as proof of that.
Well,
Yeah,
give
I
me
mean,
an
Todd Howard's
example.
probably
Also,
not even
you should-
writing it.
I want to. What I want to do is
Right.
I want to go back and play Fallout 2 and just see how with it all the jokes were.
Well,
on Fallout 2.
that was what other people, me included, but other people responded back too. Is like there was some pretty juvenile humor in those games.
exactly.
Yeah,
Too.
they're- they're coloring the past there probably.
Yeah, it's all rose-colored glasses. I mean, I think that Fallout 3, from Bethesda here, does have a lot to prove. I think I thought they gave a great demo at E3. I wrote on my blog it was the game I'm not going to do a best of show or whatever, but it was definitely the game I felt like I most wanted to play when we got out of there.
Well,
Because I liked
here's
what
the
I was
sad
seeing.
thing is people are freaking out and hating on this game where they did show 45 minutes plus of actual gameplay,
Yeah.
and then they're freaking out, going nuts for like how awesome a freaking third trailer for Metal Gear Solid 4 is.
Someone
Well, yeah.
declared, a website declared that, I don't have the exact wording right, but the greatest game that God's Earth will ever give to us.
Oh
Yes.
God.
Oh, is that
I
the thing
remember
Shoes
that.
And
sent
of
around?
course,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think
someone
so,
sitting
yeah.
around to laugh at it. But of course, yeah, they show it again, and someone out there, no, that's gameplay. Yeah, okay, it's in the engine, but we're talking about
Yeah, gameplay
demonstrating
is
what it means
different.
to play the game. In that sense, it's a Kojima game. That is a pretty big part of what it means to play
Yeah.
the game, is to watch cutscenes. No
True.
knock against them because they
No,
do
that's
it
how
well.
it works.
Right.
But at the same time, even when you joke, I mean, that's at least that's only like whatever 1/8 of the experience or something. And they,
Yeah.
that's the thing with this whole show. Being PC only, we get away from it at times. The whole just I guess fanboyism again and platform wars and stuff. But being back in the context of E3, it just reminded me of how ugly it all is. When you look at message boards, suddenly you're seeing people in the office that don't know a fucking rat's ass about like a genre, and I'm all getting all cussing because it's like FPS. But and they're suddenly declaring, Killzone's the best thing I've ever seen or whatever.
It's the best
Meanwhile, like
first-person
it
shooter
might be
ever.
someone that would have said the same thing about Resistance, but having never actually played Resistance even after it came out, But you just see a lot of it's just so weird. You just see how irrational we are in the things we like and the way that we have, the way our opinions are formed and this and that. And there's this other thing about it too, is that I was following it online, which was interesting this year because I did feel I had a better sense of the big picture by looking at message boards. But there's such an intense emphasis on the business and economics of the industry.
Right.
So, I mean, there's just massive, just words thrown into arguments about if something's cheap enough, if it's not cheap enough, if they're going to make enough money, are they going to sell enough units, are they ahead, are they behind? Yep. And while you will occasionally see, there's always a list of the charts for movies or Billboard and music and Rolling Stone or something, but you don't have the majority of those magazines and those mediums coverage is not all about the business and the economics of it. It's more centered on the artist and the art, the actual stuff. And so that's definitely still there. It's not like it vanished. But I was just trying to make sense of it. Why is that? Why is it that we define because we certainly define I guess maybe because we're able to define ourselves with the music we listen to. But here it's like the choice we go for a platform or something. This says who I am. So yeah, it's going to, I'm going to defend it till the very end. And this is,
but that can definitely be the same in music, right? I'm a metalhead. I'm a whatever.
Yeah, but but even go even more specific and say like I'm strictly bad boy. If it's not on No Limit, I ain't playing. I mean that kind of crap, Or and then because of it, that means that the very next album that No Limit puts out would then in your mind, it would come. You would be that much more likely to think it's incredible than if it had come out on, I don't know, Atlantic or whatever. Mercury. I don't know. That was a diversion, but it just kind of got to me. I was just wondering I was just trying to figure out what it is about what is it about the gaming industry that makes it such a draw, just the business end of the whole bargain.
We're all
That's
dorks.
a fine question.
I don't know. I mean, you do find that in more in the movie industry and TV. I mean, like Entertainment Weekly now, to me, they focus a lot more on like the box office and things like that than they used to. People like, I mean, I just saw an article somewhere online today about how the so-called torture porn genre has played out now because Hostel 2 took a big drop in the second week, and this new dumbass movie with Captivity movie with what's her name? Alicia Cuthbert, whatever her name is, from 24, tanked in the first week. So now
I think people like to,
dead.
use them as tea leaves for like what they're going to be playing or watching in the future. Maybe like if this does tank, it's just like, well, I guess that's the end of that.
And even
genre
that,
for me.
that's even different because then that would be like saying, let's note a number of first-person shooters made excellent showings this year. And let's look at that trend. Is this, and we always think, okay, that was the year of the FPS. Is it has to be about ready to crest its curve. But then here it is again. That's just different than, I don't know. Just really,
I think it's just sort of just trying to justify the machine that you bought.
I think it is.
I spent the money on the PS3, therefore the PS3 must be the best machine.
Right. You don't have that. You don't have that unless you're dealing with Blu-ray and HD DVD or something. Then in that industry, people start getting defensive about Blu-ray.
Then
or
you
HD
see that. That's a
DVD.
good point.
There's a sense of ownership, and I mean, like you could look into gaming, music, sports. I mean, hell, I'm a Jets fan for life, and they suck as all hell. But
right.
I mean, there's always everyone finds an attachment to something.
Well, I was a staunch Sega fanboy during the Genesis era because that's all I had, and then I bought an SNES, and suddenly I liked them both.
You'll have to see Gauge Me. I went and bought at lunch today a PS3, so you'll have to
Did
see
you?
if my
Did you
attitudes
really?
change. Yeah, actually,
Traitor!
I went to get a Wii, and they still didn't have it, so I got mad, and I was like, all right, it's like July. You guys still can't get this thing in the store? Fuck you. I don't know.
You're going to buy it.
So I just bought the other because I already had a
Now you
360.
can't
Did
play
you get the
Wii
cheap
Fit.
one?
Yeah, I got the. It was on sale. It was $599. And
Well, that's a bargain.
That's the cheap one.
I'm just playing now. Of course, I got. Of course, I got the right one. At E3 when we first checked into our hotel, there was a guy doing some grout work in the bathroom, and he overheard Crispin and me talking.
Yeah,
and he's like, "You guys work in video games? I hear you guys work in video games. Can you tell me what console I should get?" And so we're talking to him, and it turns out he just bought 2 days prior. He bought a PS3. And we were like, "Oh shit, man!" Because it was like the day that they announced the price drop. So we
I bought mine a month ago. So
Well, you know about swapping out the hard drives, right?
Yeah, I can do that if the time comes where I need more.
I'm not near that
more
either.
hard drive
Did you
space.
buy any games?
No, 'cause you
with
can
I
the
did, but I
PS3?
borrowed from eGem's awesome library. I borrowed Resistance, Motor Storm, and Darkness, so I can continue to be. I think I got mad when I saw someone on a message board post like, "Okay, well, Sean knows PC FPS and so-and-so knows console one. I was like, shit, man, that's what all those years of reviewing every single console FES ever made got me. I'm like, so I got to go play more. No. No, the other thing with Darren, you mentioned sports, you know, and that was one other kind of like cockamamie idea I had, is just that I think, you know, when you're a diehard sports fan, you feel this sort of empowerment in being, you know, like the RBI king or whatever. You know every little bit. You have an excellent command of every statistical detail that's available. And maybe it's something like that too. I mean, you just some other sense of empowerment where, like, I could tell you that this happened in this month and that this company's stockholders sent a memorandum to so and so. And
no, but the thing is, everybody's a geek over something, and they want to claim fiefdom over this little turf that so they can feel like an expert over it.
But wouldn't the world be a better place if we just all agreed that we're all the same?
That we're all geeks.
No, but I think it'd be better if we
in-
talk more about the games and not the goddamn fucking.
I agree there.
The machine.
But that requires
Here,
everyone
here.
having one console and, you know, everyone having the same console and blah, blah, blah.
Well, hopefully Microsoft will just own us all one day.
God, I hope that
that's
day
their
comes.
plan.
It's all about the games. So what else did we get going? Fallout made a favorable impression.
On me,
Yeah,
not on the fans.
No.
What else did we like?
I think we all saw BioShock at some point.
BioShock looked awesome.
Mm-hmm.
My
Still does.
thing about BioShock right now, though, is I've seen so little on the game. I've avoided basically reading anything about it, even in our own mag. And now we're so close to coming out, I just don't want to know. I don't want to even see it
it's
anymore.
like
I
a
just
little
wanna
over
play
a
it.
month
Yeah.
away, so
I want
just
to play it.
go on radio silence.
It's like I don't want the spoilers.
I had been hearing so much about it and editing stories about it, and this was the first time I had actually watched someone play it since last E3.
Yep.
And when I did, it was kind of like I got to this point where I'm like, okay, I accept that this is something I'm interested in. Everything I hear about it sounds fascinating. You know, Sean's preview made a very, you know, excellent case for why I should want to pay attention to it. But then when, you know, we sat down and I saw it again, it was just immediate, like, oh God, I got to have this.
Yeah.
This is just so cool. There's so many things. Unfortunately, we watched. I think there's
this
some
is
rule that
painful.
when you're demonstrating a game, you have to be like one of the least coordinated people in the world. And so we're watching
They
this
can't
guy.
jump or something.
Yeah, Sean and I were in the same demo.
I mean, you know, he's trying to fight a big daddy, and at the same time, guys are clubbing him over the back of the head. And the game itself is doing its damnedest to tell him that something bad's happening to him from behind. I mean, so, you know, you're getting the flashes on the screen saying, hey, dude, you might want to turn around and see about shooting this guy. And then, you know, flashing on the screen, it's like, press B to heal yourself. And over again, like, you might want to press B. But still, nonetheless, while you're watching him play, and he is cycling through some of the abilities and stuff, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, here's what I would do. And that was because everyone does that when they watch someone play a game anyway. Well, I would do this.
Mm-hmm.
But you could see, what would happen if he tried this? And just looking at the environment, looking at the ways that the AI was behaving, and considering his arsenal both of the plasmid powers and, you know, weapons, it is just great. And you're like, oh, okay, I know that this, you know, I've read enough to know that, you know, you can put an electrical current through water to shock someone.
Mm-hmm.
You can hack a drone or something, and all these various combinations of that.
I think it would be a game that's infuriating to watch, even if someone competent was playing it.
Why? Just
Just
because you would
because
want
you
to
could
do
do
Just
things
because I would
different?
want to
You
do
wanna
something
grab
different. Yeah, I just
Don't
wanna-
do that.
that's how I
moron.
am anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, the environment, the fiction that it's selling through its art is just doing a great job of it. I mean, when you come out of looking at like Halo 3 or something, and you see that, it's just, okay, this is awesome. This is not an environment that I mean, who basically is like, let's take John Galt's, you know, Ayn Randian dystopia, put it underwater, and make a shooting video game out of it. You
Yeah.
know, it's just genius.
Yeah.
Something else about I watched them play it on the controller. You know, they were playing 360 version. I'm sure you can use controller on PC if you're so inclined. But because of the way that he was cycling with the bumper buttons through his available weapons, and because of the variety of weapons and plasma powers available to him, I was already thinking like, oh, this is going to be hot on PC, where I could key each of these to a number, and then that way I can combo them. So, you know, say for example, you might enter an environment where rockets are coming at you or anything. You might not be prepared for it, but you know, rather than having to cycle through, you know, you're a split second too slow. Oh, here's a rocket. I can use telekinesis to catch it in midair. But by the time you work your way to that power, it's too late and it smacked you in the face. So here, you're just like 3, boom, and then mouse click 1, and I've suddenly acquired control of this rocket, can send it back, can redirect it, can do whatever I choose.
Yeah, you could be a lot
with
more reactionary, at least in my reckoning.
I thought they weren't showing it on PC at all. Only on 360.
They
No,
were,
just
but
the
not in the
recent-
booth not in the office.
I think they were at the at that Microsoft event.
They did.
Yeah.
They did have it.
We were actually at another hotel where we saw it at a 2K
Okay.
booth. Yeah.
It's all over the place.
Speaking of which, I can top your lame demo story with another lame. Actually, I didn't see it, but I heard about it. That there was a Microsoft person who was trying to demo Crysis, and she was moving the mouse, and she didn't have her hand on the keyboard, and she was going, "Why can't I move forward or backward?" She was just moving the mouse.
Just
yeah.
moving the mouse?
Yeah.
But she was there to not to just test it, but to show you what it's like to play. That's pretty fantastic.
Was someone on a bathroom break or
So
something?
they spend however many months preparing this this chunk of level and making it presentable and doing what they can to fix bugs and stuff, and then
Right.
then you have that.
And then they got someone from the short bus.
And that's a
demoing
game
it.
where really anyone could play it, and you're going to walk up and go, "Wow, this is a good looking game."
Right.
But I found, there's so much you can do in that game that it really will help to have someone on there that's demonstrating, to have the right person on there that says, "Hey, well, I know that if I bloody someone up and throw them out in the ocean, a shark's going to come and eat them, but this chick doesn't."
Well,
So rather than
her,
let's have me get out there and not me, but so to speak, the guy that that was at the kiosk that at Barker Hangar where I was watching it.
But I felt that way about the whole Microsoft press conference, which has probably been talked about to death, but we could do it a little bit here. But I felt that they put it in this gigantic outdoor stadium, which was just a fantastic locale. I mean, I don't know what kind of money that high school had, but that thing was amazing.
Damn, I wish I was at that high
I
school.
kept thinking, like, man, if this was only the Pixies instead of Microsoft, this would be fucking great.
I heard
but-
that Peter Moore unveiled the new Xbox model, the Thunderous Silence.
Yeah, well, see, that's
It's
the point.
it needed
But
a
this is the
plastic
point I was
Master
gonna
Chief
make.
cameo glued to the side.
This is the
Like the
point I
old
was going to
Pokemon.
make, was that here they have this audience and this amazing locale, and they've got truly a great lineup coming up and great information. And the press conference, in a way, was such like a whiff. I just thought, like, just in your way of saying, like, they got all this ready for the show, and then they had someone lame demo it. It's like they had all these resources, all the money it took to get the stadium up, all the time to prepare a decent presentation, and then it was so tin-eared, and there were so many like clunker lines. I was like, who was in charge of this? That they didn't, like, it needed a better director or something. You know, someone to like cut the cheesy parts and pace it better. We were all sitting there like wah wah. It was like a bad stand-up comic that you kept like everyone's like looking down like, oh man.
There was a need for a cricket sound effect at some point.
There were moments. I mean, really, the truth is like the game's kind of overwhelmed the lameness of the presentation. So there was cool stuff that we could glom onto. But the speakers, I actually liked Peter Moore. I thought he was pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought,
I'll let you guys have this conversation because I basically did the
you've
same
done it
exact
already
one last week.
Well,
yeah,
we're
one-
probably like the 20th podcast about this, so
Yeah.
maybe we don't need to go on.
No, we
another
can.
But they did show off a bunch of games that are coming out this year, which is the important part. That looked
I
pretty
thought
good.
that message was cool. Yeah, their main message, like,
Well, yeah, I mean, that was its blessing. That was like the double-edged sword of that was no exciting new announcements, but when it hits home that all of this really is like within your grasp, then you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty damn cool then.
I did like the Rock Band demo. Kind of made me want to get the game, though I'm still skeptical of the practicality of that thing.
Kind of made me afraid of where that start button's located. Kept pausing it.
On the
You
guitar.
like the Rock Band demo where the game he kept accidentally where first Peter
Kept pausing every 5
Kept
seconds.
hitting
was
pause.
booted from the game for not
Right.
hitting enough notes, and then
Well, my main concern is that the drums were so cool that that's all anybody would want to play. Every you get your friends together and everybody's going to want to play drums.
So you're gonna see a
No one's
Craig's
going to want to play the bass.
So
The bass.
you're gonna see Craigslist postings for like drummer wanted for Rock Band.
Did you see Joe Rubicki's blog, by the way?
No, what was this?
Yeah, former OPM editor,
about
now a freelance. He had
that word.
an awesome
Yeah, that was awesome.
post. Yeah, the title was like a public service announcement. You open it up and the message was, it's spelled BASS.
oh,
That was
God.
like the whole message.
Nice.
Bass guitar, not BASE. Dumb fucks.
Welcome to the
You're
internet.
editorializing his editorial.
Yeah.
He should have changed it to for all intensive purposes. It's base.
And then they
or
had
any
that
other-
goddamn Ronco salesman trying to peddle the the casual games, which is just wrong on so many levels.
Waja incarnate.
Waja.
This is
You just
solely
push a
deja vu.
button.
We had,
I know.
had this exact
Did you guys do
conversation.
this on one of yours?
Yeah, the first day, the first week, first show last week. Yeah, it was
Plus,
like
I've had this
all the way
conversation
through,
like every hour on the hour during E3. I think.
It's like
All right.
so many names. The guy you bring up, here's the part where I call him the king of all real estate from American Beauty. Someone else called him, timeshare salesman and this and that.
Do you think he gives a shit if he's heard all this?
I don't think he cares because I mean,
Doesn't he have a
Right.
swimming pool full of money?
He probably does.
That makes you not care about a lot of things.
Yeah.
That sucks the care right out of the room.
I'm getting the attention. That's all that matters. All right. Well, so fuck that.
Thank you.
It's been done.
Wind taken out of
so
that sail.
what else were we playing? We were just talking about BioShock. A little mention of Crisis demo.
What else did we like? Are we buying the hype of Call of Duty 4? Because the show certainly became Call of Duty 4 Love Fest by the end of the week there.
It totally did.
Sure
yeah.
looks good. That's good salesmanship right there, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, excellent demo for that.
Yeah, it looked really good.
It's odd because we had seen in a private showing many months ago those levels and more, and we all were like, "Yeah, this is definitely cool." But it was like this is exactly what I'd expect. I was like, Infinity Ward, Call of Duty, contemporary combat setting, went there like exactly what I was expecting to see.
Mm-hmm.
But then now once it's shown to the world, suddenly it really was kind of like the most talked about, if not certainly one of the most talked about games of the show. I mean, and
Sure.
I'm thinking it will probably, when they do all those various awards we like to harp on, it will probably be, crowned game of the show, even though no one even played it other than Infinity Ward and Activision staff. But yeah, I've said before, it's just puzzling to me that I'm trying to put my finger on exactly where or what it is about this game that's getting everyone excited, and not just those of us who are traditionally excited. And because for me, I was ready to sign up the moment they said Infinity Ward, Call of Duty.
Does the modern setting help? Maybe.
I think it does, and I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm wondering, are people? There's definitely a much more muted reaction for Halo this year, and I'm wondering if this is me just going out on a limb or thinking that it's also kind of like it's peaked already. And
I'll tell you what.
maybe
I think
it'll peak
partially
again
is.
when 3 comes out. But I mean, I know.
I think it's partially the clever editing of the people who make these demos and these clips. I think that at the Microsoft event, the Call of Duty 4 trailer was like kind of a movie quality. The pacing was great.
Right.
There were moments of total like tense silence or whatever.
Right.
And I think people are the way a movie trailer can do that to you too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, oh my God, this looks like the greatest movie ever, and it turns out to be a piece of shit. But the 2-minute trailer ruled.
Right.
Right.
Well, plus they played
And the
some-
Halo trailer sucked.
Yeah, that was
The
just
Halo
it was a
trailer
poorly
was
put
horrible.
together trailer. I didn't see it at the show, but from what I've heard from people who did, they're like, "Oh, it's way better than the trailer was."
Right. I did get a gameplay demo of Halo 3, and in fact, it looked way better than the trailer. And after the demo was over, I asked the Bungie guys, I was like, why wasn't this stuff in the trailer? Because this makes me want to play your game now.
Yeah.
It's just kind of weird. But so that makes me think that people get fooled by trailers. This is game of the show because they made a very dramatic
people
looking
were
trailer.
exposed to more footage of COD4 than just that that Microsoft
that's
showed
true.
their press conference.
Yep.
And again, I mean they make if you want to make a quick impact on someone, that's a great game to do it because it's loud as hell.
Yeah.
It's there's stuff going on everywhere. And if you're not really familiar with the conventions and the way that the thing's assembled and the tricks of the trade, I think you can see it and you're like, this is mind blowing. Especially when you compared it to Killzone, which everyone and that I honestly believe that not a PC gamer, not even remotely related, but it's a game where I think people that have thrown their hat in with Sony and have committed to this is my system, this is going to define me as a person, kind of went little ape shit on that one, So I mean, I saw all this stuff and the gameplay that they demonstrated for that it looked far less appealing to me than in Call of Duty 4.
Mm-hmm.
Which I keep calling it Call of Duty 4. That's what it's internally known as. Their Modern Combat. But I mean, you just see no real demonstration of AI. You see basically a guy navigating a maze and guys standing and shooting, and you walk up to him and shoot them. And if you compare it to the CG that they showed, I still feel that there needs to be an atonement for that. I can't believe how everyone let it slide. And suddenly now Sony itself is producing like comparison thing. And it's like, for 2 years. I mean, when was it that they officially admitted that thing was CG? From the
months afterwards, right?
I don't think it was that, because I remember reading in various magazines stories where they were discussing, as recently as, maybe 6 months ago, where they were discussing the true potential of this platform, this console, and what at that showing was real and not, and they were still saying it was real.
The funny thing is about all this though is like Guerrilla Games, the guys behind that. I mean, they've made a couple games already, and not one of them has backed up this.
No, they have
all
no.
the support.
Yeah, they have no.
They did the Vietnam game from IDOS for the PC.
Yeah, no pedigree whatsoever that would lead you to believe that they're capable of really, well, truly delivering.
Right. I mean,
it's not Valve or something like that. It's
exactly.
Not, but not to knock on the game, I want it to be great too. Like I just bought a thing today, and I want something. I damn well want something good for it. But looking at what was shown there, it's easy to see how in that kind of environment, you look at COD and you say, all these things are happening, explosions and helicopters are coming in, and Garnet from One Up Yours was just really odd. He was going off on just basically what was the scripted stuff. And it was interesting for me because now I'm more into, after the Crisis demo, I'm more into just like letting stuff happen and seeing what I can make happen, and knowing that when I replay those levels, they will be in COD. They will be largely the same. That at this point I'll be able to, like, if I had friends over, then I'm essentially running a demo. I know where to turn my camera so that no one misses the.
Should we go back? Should we go over some of the? We kind of breezed past it, but should we go over some of the stuff that we like? Because you and I both played Crisis.
Go ahead.
Did you guys hit it too?
Yeah, I saw Crisis. Yep,
I saw, did not play.
Didn't play.
I mean,
Still looked fantastic.
I mean, I didn't play it nearly as long as Sean did. I mean, I only was there for like a good 20 minutes, half an hour, but like I was just exploring the world and just the amount of detail and stuff that I thought was just really amazing was. So like I was mailing some guy, choking him with one hand, and as you see him, like as I'm choking the life out of him, his eyes roll back in his head, his eyelids close, and I throw him away, and he just kind of like flops over and through a wall, and I try to like chain stuff and like knock him off of other people. It was just I played it like 3 different ways, trying a whole bunch of different things, and Sean, I know that you were trying some really crazy stuff.
I hit it up I had an appointment in Barker Hangar, so I played it for about half an hour, and then I went back when I had some time on Thursday and played in 2 more extended sessions where eventually it was cool. The guy there from I always confuse the name, from Crytek, was like, hey, just keep playing. And it was funny because it was all like this little ego boost. He's like, you're making it look really good. So I was like, and then I later told Brian, I'm like, yeah, man, look what he told me. And he's like, made me feel like the biggest dork. He's like, yeah, man, you got what it takes to be a game demonstrator. But because I just played it.
It doesn't take much.
And yeah, it reminds me of when Metal Gear Solid 2 came out. First they released a demo of it with the game Zone of the Enders. And if you remember at the time, a lot of us got it and just played it again and again, even though it was just a little demo. One, because it was state-of-the-art and indicated what sort of power your PS2 had in it. And so that was mesmerizing. But the gameplay itself, it was loaded with Easter eggs, even in this little demo stretch of that game. There was stuff to look for. And then they're also like, let's push the limits and see what I can get away with. Let's see what the game developers anticipated me doing, and how will they reward me for doing it. So I had the same feeling the whole time I was there. I just wanted to sit and play that all day and take it home, and even though it was just this one level, because there was so much variability, so many options, and consistently just a great deal of reward for that kind of thinking. Everything from just the like I said, the sharks out in the water, and ways to engage the level. And I said this, I'll cut it off here because this is something else I talked about on another show. But for me, single player, a really engaging single player, campaign that I want to see is going to give me the feel that I have when I play a great multiplayer game. Where, I'm playing Battlefield. Some of the most entertaining moments are when you just have this harebrained idea and you say, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And if it doesn't work, then whatever, it doesn't work. I just spawn again. And the equivalent here, where you just load again, just hit your quick load key. And knowing that this is an experience that I can largely construct for myself. The enemies are going to surprise me and do things. And it's getting really close to that, some of it's literal, where you're using vehicles and jumping in and out, switching the gun positions on them, trying, if at first you fail in one direction, you can take another route and say, hey, all the clanners are over at the TV station. Screw them. I'm going to go try to take the alleyway or something. And maybe there's just one guy back there. And it's really getting close to that, and it's I'm definitely appreciating it. I hope if they can get it to run well, and they make sure the AI works properly throughout the game. I mean, I'm seeing some serious potential.
I noticed some of that behavior and opportunity in Brothers in Arms: Hell's Highway as well. In terms of the stuff that I saw demoed, I saw a couple missions where Gearbox was really demonstrating that to solve whatever problem there was or whatever the goal was, there were multiple angles of entry there,
right?
And that the AI would respond to that. That it was not just nonlinear, but truly open. I mean, all there was the goal, and whatever you came up with to get to there was totally your call.
In their game, there's to an extent that it's a little more constricted in that, like, how they're showing off the destructible environments. You have a bazooka team, a mortar team, machine gun team,
right? And
it's clearly parts of the environment are coded to explode. And when you put your crosshairs to issue a bazooka fire command on something, it will either appear or it won't appear, and that way you don't have the problem of saying, well, why when I hit the church tower does it blow up, but why when I hit this like shitty little shack does it not phase it? So it's kind of a neat way to prevent that, to help you suspend your disbelief. But yeah, that aside, I mean, they put you in a field, guys will come in and they'll take up positions, and then from there, just like you're saying, you can, however you decide to work around them, they will respond. They're not going to just sit there, every time. Like if you do flank them, and if you don't have other guys suppressing them in that position, you'll lose that flanking opportunity.
Exactly.
They'll relocate. They're smart enough to say, I'm going to jump behind this wall now, and
Right. I mean, that's what I thought was cool. The whole suppression idea.
That's a good game. I can't wait for that to come out, especially after playing Medal of Honor Airborne.
Though it won't be the same playing it without the colonel there that they had as the
John
color
Intel.
commentator. They got that.
Intel?
Yeah, who provides color commentating
Mark
Rain
from Epic was clowning on him when I was there, and it was
I wouldn't clown on that guy to his face, man.
I know. Well, he did, and that's why it was so funny. It was it got to this awkward pitch because they want
in that room.
They want to give you an element of just concern for the people that are involved in war,
right?
In this game, one of the levels has to do with a guy who has a family back at home, kind of like losing his stuff. Not his stuff literally, but losing his shit, and running house to house, deciding he's going to rescue civilians that happen to be caught in the crossfire, and that jeopardizes the mission and your ability to directly fight the enemy. So as he's talking about this, Colonel John Intel goes, what did he say? We want we almost want you to have this moment where I can't remember what he said. He didn't say weep, but something. We want an emotional roller coaster. And so for immediately, Mark Rain is like, an emotional roller coaster, John. He's like, you used to use those hands to choke the life out of men. He's like, now you use them to cover your eyes when you're crying at your own game. And, John, immediately, this guy was like, you could tell it brought back the soldier in him, where he's got like a name to defend. He doesn't want to be the softy, and it was all awkward. And then it led into talk about like, oh, John never goes anywhere without a gun. He doesn't use his hands anymore because he uses a gun. It was all like, and then Mark just kept lipping off, and it eventually diffused it because he's such a jester that it was like, all right, nowhere to go from there.
Oh, man.
But at home, the colonel's got Mark Rain's like photo on the wall.
Yeah. With
He's dead one day.
50 cal slug through it.
He did some satellite photos and intel about where he's going to be in the
they're
next
both
week.
nice guys.
Yeah, they're both really
nice
guys.
Fine. It was a funny moment.
Yeah. So I would say overall, it was. I hate to say it was a good show for the PC, but it actually was a good show for the PC.
I say we've all seen so much
job.
stuff. I think we should just keep talking about it unless we're out of time or something.
We should take a break though.
I don't want.
We could take a break. You don't
Okay,
want to take a
guys
break.
take a
You
break.
didn't even want a
Commercials.
podcast. Now you don't want to take a break.
We got to take a break.
We have to take a break.
Mandated.
Right. For our sponsors. We'll be right back after these good words from this great person.
Naruto. Naruto.
Budokai.
This One Up podcast is brought to you by Doritos Unlock Xbox Contest. Visit www.unlockxbox.com unlockxbox.com to turn your dream into the world's first user-generated Xbox video game.
Okay, so
Okay, we're back. Why are you singing Naruto before the break? Are you into that shit?
Well, okay, we were talking about how we were assigned like all these previews to write for the website.
Yep.
Well, I shared a room with Crispin, and there's this habit I have called I call it utterances, and it's just saying dumb. It's almost like a Tourette type scenario.
I was
But
just
I've
about
never
to
been
say.
diagnosed with anything. I mean, I can totally control it, so it's not that. But I just like to run off at the mouth. And
You?
so he was, me, believe it. And so he was writing previews, and he got stuck with all the bell ends of the show. So he was writing about like.
Well, hasn't he like a senior dude over at EGN?
Does he have any kind of
He
choice?
is, but he's a good sport, and I think maybe that's where he got burned. And it's fun. We found that it's probably more fun in some cases to write a preview for like carnival games for Wii, or he did Naruto and another Dragon Ball game, and Godzilla Unleashed. It's like, when was Godzilla ever leashed? But so as he was writing them, I was like, all right, I'm going to help you, because the night before we had been up till like 3:30 or whatever writing. I was like, let's just get these done, and let's just throw jokes at one another, and we'll turn them into a preview.
Mm-hmm.
So with Dragon Ball, I was like, this is going to come back to Naruto, trust me. So with Dragon Ball, I was like, this is really like, when Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was kind of like on its like 15th season or something,
Yeah.
and all the kids that made it successful in the first place got to the point where they had that condom in their wallet that stayed there until they graduated, that they're hoping to use but never used. So I told him, I'll write that. And he's like, I don't want to write that. There's only going to be kids clicking on this. So that got turned to like, kids working at Arby's now. But so in the course of all this, the utterances started coming out, and it's like, what's the next one? Oh, so I was singing songs about Budokai and then Naruto, and then we went through, now I forget, any song that has kind of like a na section, and just like
Hey
redoing it with Naruto. So Hey Jude, of course, was like one of the good ones. So we were just singing that all the time that we're just trying to help him write it. So singing, serenading him with Naruto.
Now it's
You
stuck
were
in
his
my head.
You were his muse. Nice.
Yeah.
You've ruined Hey Jude for me now, too.
And I'm the one who makes fun of that role in Ryan's Lord of the Rings Online. Maybe I should do it. Ryan, you don't get it?
Huh?
The bard, the character, you sing to other
Oh.
people to help them do something.
I don't play that guy anymore.
You're playing WoW
He's
now.
beyond that. He's all up in WoW.
Back on the WoW.
So Sean,
Hi.
what really got you excited? What were you happy to see and pleased with?
Got me excited. That's a fine question. I think we covered the ones that really did, like BioShock and Fallout.
Or not, just other musings. We both saw Conan, MMO.
We did see Conan. That did not get me excited, however.
It wasn't the what did we call that when the titties appear?
Whoa.
There's,
Well, okay.
there's titties in Conan?
Rewind.
Yeah.
But it's like one of
There's like a
the buffs. It will summon
There's an
titty
implant buff.
It will summon basically just the just gorgeous disembodied breast, but with like a cobra head
It was
on
like
top of
yeah,
it.
some
that
sort of-
brings all
Wait,
the
is this
glory
like a
of
It was
fan?
semi-Egyptian.
breasts appear in the air.
is that
No, I think it was just like a priest casting,
Snake.
power word fortitude or something that would increase your
okay.
stamina. But the graphic
So
for
the
it was.
breast
But it
don't follow
just
you around
kept
on
appearing.
Yeah,
So
they
in my
kept doing
mind, it
it.
was like, okay, make titty, like 3, make titty. And
We're losing him. We're losing
I
him.
didn't know what it was doing, but I knew he was.
Oh,
making
that's
titty.
what it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was keep the game journalists awake button. It's not even part of the game. Look, guys, tits.
But every time it happened, I was like,
There was speaking. That whole thing was kind of one of those awkward
silence
scenarios where. I mean, not because I feel awkward when I see a pair of floating tits and a snake head on them, but like because when we
Who doesn't see those? I don't need a
fine
game
with
for
me.
that.
I call
But
that Tuesday.
But at first, we walked into the booth. There's one. It was basically a bunch of guys, and there's one infamous dude, and little Alice is with us. Recent to join OneUp.com.
Intern at OneUp.
Is
Yep.
the only woman in there with us, and immediately this guy makes the sausage party joke, which is like, okay, we were just waiting for it. But
Yeah.
then he goes, "I got dibs" or something, and puts his arm around Alice, and she's
Ah!
just like, "What's going on?" Like this is, and then they show us like just Conan. Just getting all ripped and buffed out and chopping heads off fools and shit, and then
Like
like
a
some
CG
hot
movie.
hot ass babe running by his side,
Yeah.
And then after that,
are being lopped
you
off.
walk through the door, and then they had some really attractive, real women dressed up in Conan wench uniforms welcome us into the demonstration room, and And then all of a sudden, next thing, it was the titty make button. And so it was just like the whole thing. And then Alice was like, can you make a female character? And no one in the room knew the answer, dude. It was so bad. It was like, oh, God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about the game itself?
It's hard. We were having this conversation before that it's really hard to demo MMOs because if you don't know exactly what is going on with each character's abilities,
Right.
and especially in this case because they were having terrible lag problems,
Yeah,
it just looks like
the whole
utter
entire
nonsense.
hotel was sharing one really.
It just looks like complete nonsense. You can't tell what's going on. I mean, because you know how MMOs are. You have someone with a sword swinging at the air,
Yeah.
of course, to
vaguely facing in the right direction.
Yeah.
And like that happens in World of Warcraft, it happened in EverQuest, it happens in this, and they're trying to explain to us how innovative the combat system is because you can sweep to the left or sweep from upper right to the lower left or whatever,
and
depending on
comparing
how
it
you
to
like.
Tekken and stuff, right?
Yeah, like they're saying there's more like fighting game
it's
moves,
deep.
kind of. Maybe not
Okay.
that
but
that
when,
level,
but when you watch it though, it's
but yeah, it just looks like chaos.
it's like a
utter
circus
nonsense.
of bad choreography, where one guy kind of hunches over in front of you and you just swing your arm around and then he just stands there. See, that was the problem. They showed us this high quality CG work where, Conan is just lopping off limbs in single sword strokes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then they show us this demonstration and there's, like I said, there's guys just kind of hunched over as Conan's just wailing on him like he's trying to tenderize a goddamn steak, and he let thaw.
Right, and there's no sense of
Nothing's
physical
happening.
contact. There's no.
So, but the MMO, so much of that
That's just how it
experience,
works.
so much of the MMO experience is social, or is with your
Yeah,
friends. And
yeah.
when you think about your best WoW moments,
Yeah.
it's half of it's going to be supplied by players, right?
Yes.
And Sean said something, and you responded, and then
Yes.
he made his character do this. But then when you're just watching MMO combat, you're really missing the big picture. And then when
Yeah.
in the next
You
booth,
kind of
there's a
are.
demonstration of a game like Heavenly Sword or something, where the entire basically game processing budget and memory for is for animations for attacks and stuff like that.
Right. Certainly the combat usually ends up being one of the least exciting things to watch, especially as a non-player. I mean, you get into it and you accept it once you are playing that MMO. But to be showing it off to someone as to why you should play the game, I mean, if that's how you approached WoW, you wouldn't want to play WoW.
No, I
You
mean,
just-
even
oh,
WoW
wait.
was utter nonsense.
So he hits me, and then I wait, and then I hit him.
Well,
I
even
mean,
when you
that's
have
stupid.
even when you have the 20 skills that you eventually get or whatever, and you are switching between them, you can't.
Well,
It
it's
doesn't
sort of
look like
it's-
anything
right. It's like
to
when
the
Sean, when you
untrained
stand
eye.
behind us and you're making fun of us because we're just like clicking random buttons and then it hits. I mean, yeah, from that perspective, that is how it looks. But in fact, there is a lot more going on.
In
than
your
that.
mind, you're doing the math where when it like
Exactly.
-19 appears over the head, you're imagining like,
Yeah.
I just heard that guy.
Well, and not just the but not just the numbers, but also I'm going to stun him and then I'm going to do this. I mean, there's some strategy involved,
Yeah.
which you can't convey.
Yeah,
just
you
by
know the
watching.
character, you know his weaknesses. You're
You're
like,
playing him for 70 levels.
you know,
Yeah.
you know what it was, or the type of enemy. You remember what it was like when you first encountered him and he beat the shit out of you, and it pissed you off, and then you finally figured out like that some excellent combination of attacks and coordination with allies would work against him.
Right, you need this
Still
kind of
see that
character
in-
to do this kind of damage because he's weak to this sort of thing. I mean, there is a game there.
Yeah.
But but to demo it would be really hard. I think. You know, I think you'd want to focus more on like the world itself, or
Yeah, and when you try, like you said, you have no attachment to the character you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bottom line is we agree that it's we don't envy you when you're demonstrating an MMO in an environment like that.
However, I did get a
Tough
great
work.
demo of it's one of the I think probably the game that most surprised me at the show, especially because Ryan's been talking about it for a long time, and I tend not to trust him.
I told
Was,
you guys.
was Pirates of the Burning Sea.
Yarr.
They gave a great demo for that game. They really did. I was pretty convinced by the end of it. It was just very, and it's not just because of the pirate scene, because that could just be a novelty,
pirate scene.
the pirate scene. But
What's going on in the pirating scene?
but the gameplay mechanics, as they described them in detail, these guys really are trying hard to do some different stuff there, which is vague.
What
I
all
know.
did you see?
Well, they showed the 4 different factions, which are interesting: pirates, French, Spanish, and
English.
English. Thank you.
No
Yeah.
Dutch.
No Dutch. Yeah. And they made the inevitable. I asked, well, so what's going to be the incentive to not be a pirate? I mean, everyone's going to want to be a pirate. Who wants to go into an MMO and then be French?
Called Pirates of the...
called Pirates of the Burning Sea.
Well, you could be a French pirate.
You can be...
I'm sure the pirates are composed of all nationalities.
The pirates can only be pirates.
The non-denominational
pirates. I think you're like a privateer.
Right. Yeah, you're like a privateer. The national ones get other different class types.
They're not pirates.
They are not pirates. So everyone's going to
be a pirate.
Right. But they're aware of that.
Be Spanish.
They're going to try to incentivize you to be Spanish or French. You'll get special abilities as a Spaniard. I don't know what those are.
What are those? Yeah, I'm about to say you'll get special abilities as a pirate too, right?
I guess you will.
You're not selling me on this, man.
I'm not
so
doing
far,
a good job.
all I know
is
is that you could be a Spaniard, a pirate.
Why? Do you don't want to play a game like that? You could be French,
There are
Sean.
a billion games that let me choose between that.
You get a uniform. If you're French, you get a French uniform. Does that do it for you yet? Do I have you sold yet?
That's not all, Sean.
Doing a great job.
If you play our game.
So did they show you like the ship combat?
They showed ship combat. Okay, so that's it. A good percentage of the game takes place roaming around the land and doing, I think, sort of regular kind of quests. But a good part of the game takes place on the open sea, where you're involved in ship combat with other players, both players and, I guess, NPC ships as well. And the ship combat looked pretty sophisticated for a game of this nature, where facing mattered. There's all sorts of things. Your ship is upgradable as it goes along. You'll get better ships as you go along.
Can you make a pair of breasts appear above your ship?
But you could probably put a pair of breasts on your sails.
That's right, customizable
You can customize
sails.
the sails.
You can. Of course, they are going to have. Well, they're going to
police it?
filter it, of course.
Okay.
That's a good. Not to cut you off of pirates, but that's a good transition into the whole like UT3 and content created on PC going on the PS3.
We could go into that.
Just a quick. Let's not. You're not done with pirates, but just.
Right.
But the whole titty on the top sail is kind of like
That's the subtitle of the game, by the way.
That was Game of Show.
Well, as soon as they announced that would be good with 1C to publish or something.
Titty on the top sail.
Yeah.
They meant something entirely different in Russia.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start talking about let's put content created on PC can go over to consoles, and again, this is something that would happen. It might potentially happen with Gears of War, but the difference being that Microsoft and Epic would oversee specifically what content is passing through that tunnel.
Filter.
Not so much on PS3, and it's like as soon as you let people make whatever they want on their cars and Forza, you got like the Hitler mobile and all kinds of bullshit, So it's like what I mean, how you could do anything if you're letting people create a map for your game.
Yeah,
you can just have the Goatsy trophy room and all kinds of stuff. You just flick a switch and it's nothing but Harlequin babies and the most rotten filth you've ever seen.
What does that say about humanity? Everybody goes to the worst place immediately.
tough girl.
Humanity sucks.
It will happen though. I mean, I think on PC people got used to it. Like at first, it was the craziest thing with the spray tags and source. You're like,
yeah, sure.
Oh God, we could do some great stuff with this. And then it kind of just died out. Now it's like you'll see it, but only now and then. It's not the obsession because I think at the time, even for me, the time we figured it out, I got all my friends together and we took a huge image, chopped it up into multiple pieces so that we could recombine the collage in Team Fortress and basically cover the entire world with the most obnoxious filth possible. But we all had to go into a certain place. When you
That's
give
great. That's a good
people
idea.
state cards in a stadium and have them stand up
sure.
and spell something, and we'd know that your top center spray, your top left.
So each individual tag was not offensive, but when you put it together,
it was a puzzle. Yeah, that became combined
that's
a portal to enhanced filth.
That's very smart. Well, I'm sure that whatever filters they try to put on in parts of the Burning Sea, no matter how clever they are, someone's still going to have the flying penis.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah, totally.
That's what will happen.
The Jolly Roger.
Right. It's like all the naming filters in WoW. They're still, even in my own guild, every other character is cocaine, mass murder, penis spelled with a 1 or whatever.
Right. And there's people policing that, but they can't.
They can't stop it all.
Can't do it all.
If it was an Xbox Live game, all the top sales would have all the main sales would just be
Mountain Dew.
What is it? No, Fight Club posters and the usual arrangement.
Yeah, Darren, that was actually a good call though too. They could just sell all those sales.
Oh,
I'm riding the Pepsi, the USS Pepsi.
Choose an icon from an upcoming movie.
Pay for your
Right.
Yeah, that's good.
Die Hard 4,
animated?
the boat.
Yeah. I want Shia LaBeouf on my thing here.
What's that?
The kid in Transformers.
Oh, Jesus.
That's his name.
The Transformers boat.
Shia LaBeouf.
Beef.
The beef. Yeah. So the ship combat looked good. There's this whole metagame going on. I think that was one of the more interesting things. I don't know if you felt the same way, Ryan, but this whole control of ports throughout the Caribbean, where you're going to be fighting for turf, for different
Trading rights?
domination over a port, which will give you. You're right, trading rights. It'll give you access to more resources for all the players on that particular nation. And the bigger metagame going on is that, you're basically vying for control of the entire world map. And at some point, it will get down to a big epic battle in which one of the four factions is going to control the entire map, basically be declared winner.
Well, what
happens?
Well, then they hit the magic reset button.
Because what happens in like any realm versus realm combat kind of scenarios is usually there's one side where everyone flocks to.
Yes, and I asked them about that, and they have a whole handicapping system set up where that could happen for a little while, but over time, if one particular faction in one particular server is just completely dominating, the handicapping system will be as such that eventually they cannot keep controlling it. They'll be penalized enough with points, or the other teams will get enough advantage with other points that they'll get that taken away from them.
Okay, because there's an MMO I saw at NC Soft called Aeon, which is like another Korean MMO.
Is that AEON?
AION. Yeah.
AION.
And it has realm versus realm. There's like the demons above versus the angels below, or something strange like that. And if one side gets lopsided, you fight over the abyss in the middle. There's this third NPC faction that will fight the people who are more strong and kind of try to balance it out. So it seems like it's a common thing.
Yeah. So I liked it. I don't know. I know I haven't really done it.
You're just making.
I'm not doing
that face, dude. You're just like.
Yeah, I give
Very
up.
Muppety.
Yeah, shut
Well,
up.
It's very
also,
Muppety.
Those are the boarding party combat too. That look kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, you can board ships. You can either sink them outright or you can board them. If you board them, you'll get fatter loot.
Get their booty.
But there's a chance that you will that they could take back the ship, that you won't succeed.
Making with the swashbuckle.
Right. If you sink the ship, you'll get less good loot. In fact, they were at some point in the game's development, when you sank the ship, you actually got no loot because the loot sank to the bottom of the ocean. But then they realized, so what's the incentive?
Is
So
this
now you
all
get
entirely is it die rolling stuff? I mean, is it like physics based cannon fire, or is it you just click on their ship and then it rolls a die?
I'm
It says-
There's like a
Assuming die
firing
roll.
arc.
There is an
there's
arc.
firing arcs and there's
Right, the wind
there's
did
actually
play
clicks.
a piece in it. Right, that would definitely affect your to hit ability.
Well, is it
That would
actually
be a
pushing
hot,
the cannonball, or is it just like
a
a
hot sail.
resistance modifier, like in WoW or something? The wind.
Yeah, that I'm not sure.
I was thinking a hot sail would be just a big, giant set of ass cheeks, because, then with the wind blowing behind it, it would be that'd be sick.
I think with MMOs, we're still at the point where that's die rolls.
Yeah. So okay, so obviously I don't have a career ahead of me in pitching games on the internet. But
In a reductionist way, though, would it be fair to say something like Sid Meier's Pirates, but expanded into MMO form, or is that or is that too basic?
no, that's because Pirates had, I think, more dimensions than this. I mean, this is probably more like standard MMO translated into this kind of world.
The ship combat was kind of similar. I mean, not
To Pirates?
sort of.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's kind of
kinda
similar to
reminds
Pirates.
me.
You're right. Yeah, at the
I mean, I don't
level
know
of the
how
ship
it- how it
but there's no
couldn't-
ballroom dancing in this game.
Oh, damn it.
Sid Meier's Pirates.
No stealth sequences.
Yeah, not that I saw.
Yeah,
That's good, actually.
visited our friends at 1C, which is I got their catalog in front of me right now.
Yes, sir.
It's actually worth reading from.
Is it
but,
time to talk about Necrovision?
This is, in a way, when you see it, this is so dumb. But I said to myself, I'm like, that's the Borat of video games, just because I got the manual and I saw now servicing basically every one of the Central Asian stands. So Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And then you read the descriptions for like Necrovision was actually a cool and interesting game. Has some of the guys that made Painkiller,
which we liked here,
which was
GFW.
fun and just goofy as hell.
Uh-huh.
And so this thing too, you're looking at, it's basically World War I, and all of a sudden demons and vampires and all sorts of randomness like break through, and with World War I weaponry, and then with demonic and vampiric weaponry, you're continuing the fight. But so, I mean, you have to imagine, whatever, Baron von Richthofen flies over, and then suddenly a demon is just tearing at the canvas of his plane or something. And then,
I'd play that.
But it did look cool. I know it was like, and it was kind of, this is a fun game, and it runs well. It's used DX9 and stuff, but in a weird way where almost every game in this book, in this brochure, is the most arbitrary collection of just the weirdest genre stereotypes and just things just thrown in. But like some now and then they pull it off and it works. It's like it's basically Painkiller. It's like that's just the
that sums it up.
It's too hard to describe, but they manage a way to describe it. And so this isn't quite Hear the Web, but it's interesting. I mean,
right.
this is I have a real hero for later, but this is just like
the
game Necrovision. The year is 1916. Young American joined UK Army to experience adventure of his life, and soon realizes that greater evil is hiding beneath the Great War storm. He has to face the underground world of vampire, demon, evil genius creature, and even become one of the demon to rescue the human and vampire kind from forces of darkness. Necrovision is a next-gen first-person shooter taking place in a variety of locations from battlefield of World War I to a much darker and brutal underground world of vampires and demons. Sceneries range from realistic to dreamlike, opponents from enemy troops to fantasy creatures. Old-fashioned look and style of the game is going to remind the world setting from the Lovecraft horrors and seamlessly mix the war-shooting elements into it. Player will fight enemies using environments, powerful and evil artifacts, vampire technology, and authentic World War I era weapon.
Authentic vampire technology, too.
Authentic vampire technology. Old-fashioned look and style of the game is going to remind the world setting from Lovecraft's horror. So that was pretty rad.
Man, someone ran that through Babelfish, didn't they?
I'm glad that they came out, though. Oleg Maddox of ILT didn't make it out, though.
That's too bad.
Just works by his own clock, and I wanted to see, I was definitely looking to see Storm of War, Battle of Britain. His next flight's in there, but we have to wait.
No.
I'm sure it's going to be in Germany next month for the big convention there.
All right.
When is Necrovision coming out anyhow? Do you remember?
I don't know, dude, soon for all that. That was something interesting about the Stalker prequel that was there too. It just showed up, and it was, like when I spoke to him, it was just kind of like the product manager associated with GSC Game World. They had no publisher support there, and that was interesting because you'd think that if Stalker performed well, and now here we are back into the business thing, but only in this specific contest, if it performed well, you'd think that THQ would say, "Hey, it was a great game. Sold reasonably well. We're behind it.
Yeah.
Here's a prequel. It looks like they learned from their lessons. It's got. They learned from they learned lessons from the creating and releasing Stalker as it's Shadow of Chernobyl. This is called Stalker Clear Skies.
Stalker Clear Sky, yeah.
And it looks better. It sounds like they're doing all kinds of fun stuff with it. But I'm just curious. Is someone going to pick it up? I hope they do. Or is it just going to be downloadable?
Almost going. Well, I mean, they're talking about a full prequel for this thing.
That's not an expansion. Yeah, it's a standalone. It's a full game.
It's gonna be optimized for DX10. Which means it's obviously gonna look better. But I wonder if it's gonna still be a resource hog.
The character models and everything. I suspect that it was running really smooth there, which was interesting. And actually, Stalker, I got it to run quite well for me. It just took a while.
It took a lot of tweaking.
To mess with the settings a bit. But yeah, that was something else interesting. Any of you guys try Mercenaries 2?
I tried a little bit of that. I was more to be fighting off a crouch and I'll watch it because there was a lot of people around that one.
Yeah, it was popular. It was pretty fun. I thought it kind of reminded me of Kane and Lynch in a way, and I was thinking, what's the studio that's making that?
IO Interactive.
IO.
Yeah,
when they've done games and IOS has published them, like the Hitman games, they're always usually really good, but there's something they just lack, sort of the final coat of varnish on them.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how. And of course, this is because it was a demonstration of an unfinished game, and that could just be it. But Mercenaries had that same vibe. It looked completely fun. It looks like it's going to be awesome to go in there and co-op and just destroy everything, call in, fuel air bombs and drop those places, getting A-10s, and just alone. Anytime you have a plane in something and you allow multiple people in it, you've basically created your own game within a game.
Yeah.
Where you just do whatever you want. See if you can follow the leader, crazy bombing runs and stuff. Visually, though, it's remarkable in that it renders so much stuff and at such scale, but anytime you go up to anything, it feels kind of chintzy. And then when you're just walking around shooting, I mean, once you go from firing rockets in a helicopter to running around on the street, and since it's third person, you just have a little dot and you wave it over people, and it's kind of like the pew pew pew.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the thing that you get with third person games sometimes, the thing exactly like Gears of War overcomes and still uses that perspective by drawing you in close to it, and by combining it with the ability to sight your own weapon and stuff.
Right.
But it kind of has that toyish, vibe to it when you're running around. And
Can't wait to get another helicopter.
but it's got some potential. I look forward to playing it. It's on my list
I
now.
need a good co-op game. I like me some co-op.
All right.
No more?
Anything
All right.
else?
Are we
Anything
done?
else missing?
All right, this
like
whole
the,
time you were just like, yeah, we're done, so whatever. I played a whole lot more shit.
Yeah.
I'll say
No,
that.
listen,
Darren and I both played a lot
Quake
more.
Wars is a lot of fun. I was actually kind of surprised. What did you
No,
think?
we're there. Dude, we can't carry on.
All right.
Just shit on us, man.
Look,
All right, fine, forget it.
just because I was making that face?
No, but for like
That
20
like-
minutes, man. I can't. I can stare at the wall and talk to the wall, pretend it's someone listening to me.
I'm listening.
I'll talk
am.
to the.
I can
Let's
repeat
finish
back
this
what you
piece
just
of
said.
shit up. Let's talk to the guy who sent us from the Netherlands, who sent us this.
All right.
You got us some letter. I'll pretend I was talking to him.
All right. Well, we just got this today, so the timing was good. We got a magazine. I think
All
we
right.
got the magazine over there from you, or is it here?
Yeah, you can read his letter. I'm not talking to you right now, man.
Got a old.
No, I don't know where his
We're
magazine's
breaking
at.
up on air. Here we go.
There it is.
PC gameplay from the Netherlands. There's that the letter?
Dude, you know what, Sean? You and I we'll just talk about Quake Wars after the podcast.
Oh, stop.
Well, there's Frontlines, Fuel of War.
Yeah.
There's an expansion for Microsoft Flight Sim that everyone wants to hear about. There's
Wait, where were they showing that?
That was over in the games for Windows section of Barker
Oh.
Hangar. Maybe you should have stopped by it.
I didn't go to Barker Hangar. All I heard was bad things about Barker Hangar.
What? About that was one of the
Seriously.
best places to go.
Well,
Because
not
there's no
according to
crowd.
certain people at
You
one
could get a wide variety of games under one roof without having
I
an
kept
appointment.
hearing, I would be like, I'm going to walk over to Barker Hangar, and people would be like, oh, dude, don't do that.
No, you get on the shuttle because it's a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they,
you
they
know,
were just telling you to get on the shuttle.
that's what pissed me off about E3 was that they had the shuttle going around to all the different hotels out there, and except for Barker Hangar, these hotels were like within 4 blocks from each other in Santa Monica, which is not only beautiful and sunny out, but also it's completely fucking flat. It's level. We're used to walking around here in San Francisco where there's big hills.
Yeah.
So there is no incline whatsoever. It's beautiful outside, and they've got the shuttle going around, and you got these fucking fat-ass journalists sweating in their black T-shirts, like waiting for the shuttle. I was standing behind these guys, these fat dudes, waiting for the shuttle, and I admit I was waiting for the shuttle. I was feeling a little lazy, but these guys are standing there, and, they come every 10 minutes, and this one guy says to the other, I swear, if this shuttle doesn't come in the next 2 minutes, I'm just not going to the demo. Just fuck it. It's their fault. And I'm like, why don't you move your fucking ass and walk then?
I know. I was waiting in line for one of these shuttles as well, and
I swear.
I was waiting in line for one shuttle, and similar line of fat asses, and I asked one of the officials there, I'm like, how far is the Fairmont from here? He goes, it's just like a 10-minute walk. I'm like, well, fuck it, I'll just walk.
Yeah, I mean, I walked everywhere. It was no big deal. Just-
Barker was the one place that you would.
Yeah, Barker
yeah,
needed a shuttle
I
for
could
us.
see that.
But actually, I thought it was kind of like for Barker.
And it's not that it wouldn't. If you walked it, you would get lost unless you were a local. That was
To
the deal
Barker?
too. Yeah, you would. It was just. It was out on an airfield.
Why
somewhere.
did they
It's a
have
hangar.
so that was I mean
That
I
was the
actually
one that was
I
the
know
one
that we dissed E3 for months leading up to the show, but I actually enjoyed myself for the most part. I didn't go to that hangar, but the one thing there is like why this isn't the time or place. I'm sure there is no answer except maybe rent. Why that the main convention thing was so far removed physically from the
Might have just
convention
been like
proper
floor
from the
space.
hotels.
That was the
Yeah.
biggest like
It's
empty
just how
floor
that is.
plan
It's
area.
like that's what they're talking about. Vegas is a likely contender for next year. You know, you can do the same
Oh,
thing, but
fuck
everything's
Vegas.
closer.
What did you guys
Closer
think
to go.
about? I didn't go to the hangar, but I know it was done on a kind of all things being equal sort of thing where what?
Ryan's like, weren't we going to talk about Goldmember, the Dutch guy that wrote us?
No, Ryan's looking at me because I said fuck Vegas.
Oh.
Too many bad memories. I can't go to that town no more. It gets me in trouble.
Really?
Yeah. Never mind.
Does it get you in trouble too, Ryan?
Hell no. Well, yeah.
Do you gamble or do you go to the strip clubs?
I
both?
Gamble.
Yeah, right.
He collects cards.
By gamble, he means dropping
from
dollar
the
bills and seeing what
Pimpaloopas,
happens
like
to
it's
him.
Pokemon.
Gambling, yeah, he's trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
You get it.
Well, you know, on the street corner, the Pimpaloopas give you the little like flyers for
He trades those like Pokemon.
for escorts. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, for escort services. They have that little thing where it's like they stick it.
I choose you, blonde Russian girl.
You know,
Drops the
there's a
card
big
down.
article in the LA Times about how much money Los Angeles lost this year because of E3 being scaled down so far. And one of the little sub industries that hurt the most was all the women who normally would get hired out as booth babes. Turns out a lot of those women actually, make a lot of money every E3, and that keeps them going for a while.
There are that many of them, I guess.
There were,
Yeah, think about it.
Actually, I thought you were going to say the people that got hurt most of the guys who sell the bacon-wrapped hot dogs on the street corners.
Probably a lot of those guys too. Yeah.
So back to our
It was Barker Hanger.
we're talking about
Fuck
our
we
leather,
talked
our leather from the Netherlands.
Oh, our letter from the Netherlands. Yeah, we got a letter today from a young man by the name of I'm sorry, he listens to the podcast. I'm sorry, I can't speak Dutch, so I don't know how to pronounce your name. It's Petrit, Petrit. Petrit. I'll just put on some random
Put
some
French,
French
even
accent.
better.
There you go.
accent. Petrit.
Some people in Belgium speak Dutch, so Belgium's close to France. Some people
All right, so
speak
Petrit Dahan. Petrit Dahan, H-A-A-N.
True.
He wrote us from The Hague in the Netherlands.
Goldmember for short.
I'm going to read his letter, but and it's in broken English. I'm not doing this to make fun of him. It's just this is what he wrote, okay? But since none of us could write a broken letter in Dutch.
This is like huge props to,
Right.
yeah.
He actually was able to compose a letter that we can read, and I couldn't compose 3 words in what do they speak there? Dutch? Netherlands. Dear Jeff Green, you probably get like 10 of messengers every day. He said 10 of messengers.
Just
What an
correct it
illiterate
in your head
moron.
as you read it. Clean
All right.
it up.
You probably get like 10s messages, but I wanted to let you know I have something for the team and for the podcast that I think is really funny. He's playing games since he was 4. Well, enough about me. I want to tell you I'm a big fan of GFW and the podcast because I'm from Europe and I can't buy GFW magazine. Well, what's up with that? Why can't he buy GFW in Europe?
Yeah, it sucks.
Microsoft, get on that.
Hook him up with Xenio.
We accept euros.
Yeah. But I do listen. I've listened to the podcast for over 9 months now, and I think it's one of the best out there. And I know this because I listen to about 12 gaming podcasts every week.
Holy cow.
Yeah, this man needs a little more to do with this.
Holy cow. Okay, wait. Okay, ours are on average are like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
so
Petrit, if you're listening to me right now, turn it off.
unless you have 6 months of like darkness,
Go outside, something. Hang out, go meet some girls. Last week I made a remix of what I thought was the best of the past. Hopefully you can appreciate it. And maybe you could put it on the GFW podcast blog or maybe even on the podcast itself.
You're getting your wish, dude.
And you get your wish because when we sign off today, everybody listening, you're going to be hearing a kind of a Dutch disco techno remix.
It's totally. That's why I knew I kept saying Goldmember because it's totally Goldmembered out, the song that you're about to hear.
Yeah.
Just like all, you know how
break out your glow sticks.
loving some techno.
Yeah, when we go out, you can thank Petrit Dahan from the Netherlands for our outgoing theme today. And he is on OneUp if you want to send him a message with your your opinions about his. But be nice because he did this. He sent this all the way from the Netherlands.
And remember that music that goes is pretty common in Europe. So
Right, they're still on that tip, as am I. Anyway, his name is the Dutch Slayer over on OneUp.
true.
And
Why
it says,
didn't you go for the Dutch Master?
Well, he says that no, it has nothing to do with the band Slayer. I never heard of the band at the time I created the nickname many years ago.
Flying Dutchman.
All right, so there's that.
So there we go.
There we go. Thank you.
And as we
Petrit.
roll out,
is that it for us?
Wait,
No, you didn't even do your Heroes of the Web, man.
Or
okay. Well, then, yeah, we just set them up for when the time comes.
Okay.
You'll hear a song.
Well, when you hear the song, just remember this. But
Dude, I don't even know if I was ready for this, but okay. So I kind of found this. Man, I forgot. A reader, or a listener, sent me a personal message through OneUp.com and tipped me off to a post by a guy named Nanaki Wolfman, and that was hilarious. And unfortunately, it didn't print correctly, so I couldn't read the whole thing. But what I did was I took this guy's name and I put it in, as a search term in Google, and found that he's a busy guy. So he's posting on like Yuffie forums, which is a term for when furries copulate. And
Wait, what's it called?
Yiffing.
How do you spell
Yiffy. Yiffi.
that? YIFFI?
Yeah.
Remember it.
It was like
You're gonna
Yiffy
Google
something.
it later, Jeff?
Because
No,
I
I'm
sent
just
I
thinking
sent the
that's-
link to a
that's my
friend, and
wife's
he was like,
nickname on a couple
"Fuck
internet
you,
forums.
dude! I'm not opening a link that starts with Yiffy."
Yiffy?
And yeah, so well, I don't have that. I found the same guy posting on the Fantasism forum, and Nanaki Wolfman. His original post, what it revealed to me was that he was saying that it's social pressure essentially that makes us that makes a straight man think that like Charlize Theron is attractive or whatever, and that
Wait. It's just it's social pressure?
well that it's entirely clearly whatever clear. I think he was willing to concede to some extent that yes, like I don't know. I'm getting all.
But wait, if we could
confused
just
now.
if we could take the social pressure off and just admit it to ourselves,
then you would like what he likes.
Oh,
Okay,
And
I see.
what
I
he
see.
likes
So
is
it's not. It's
so
not
he's
our
freed himself.
It's not his problem.
the
it's our
character that
problem.
he must be
Right.
called. The character must be known as Nanaki in the Japanese version of the game.
Okay.
But Ryan, help me. This is just Final Fantasy. It's not 7, is it?
That's
Or
7.
is it 7?
Red 13.
Red 13
Yeah, that's 7.
is basically a lion.
Okay.
A very mean one.
Got tattoos.
That he's attracted to?
So so in this thing he goes on and he's talking about how how gorgeous, and everyone would the scales would fall from their eyes and they would see how gorgeous and lithe and ferocious Red 13 is.
Wow, so
And Nanaki's
he's like
on.
out of the Matrix.
He's
still
definitely
in
out
the
of the
Matrix,
Matrix.
liking our
Swallowed something.
Okay.
Waiting for the laugh. That was supposed to be a punchline. Okay. So Nanaki Wolfman poses the question to his fellow Fantasism forum goers that would our characters really want us? And he says,
Wow.
I'm not even ready for God, I didn't have a voice for this. I actually had, when I was singing about Naruto, I came up with some other voice. I already forgot what it was. I wanted to
maybe
work on
emo
it.
nerd.
But
would be
okay.
for this.
I just had a thought that if Nanaki were really physical on this world, what are the chances he would want me? I'm so passionate about him, but I think my wanting to be around him so much would simply drive him crazy. Nanaki doesn't seem the type to want to settle down, and from his experiences wouldn't really like to get that friendly with humans. In a way, I am glad that I can have him only in my thoughts and dreams. If he were real and rejected me, it would hurt badly. Now I can only hope to dedicate much of my time to showing him, whoever I think he is, that I do indeed care for him. So
Okay, so not only is he fantasizing about this animated creature, he's already neurotic and needy for him.
exactly.
Why won't
This
he
guy
call?
needs therapy
Now-
in a bad way.
Why won't Red 13 call me?
Poster Enigma 13.
Maybe I'll play hard to get, then he'll want me.
Poster Enigma 13, who takes his avatar and his whatever after, I can't tell. Is that Digimon or Pokemon? Some piece of shit looking thing.
Who's the expert on
Hey,
this?
Digimon
excuse me,
there.
they're
That's
very
Pokemon?
I
different.
think so.
Okay, so here's
I think
a
that's
Pokemon.
Mewtwo,
dude.
everyone. Mewtwo.
Again, he goes,
Which Pokemon?
It's a critical question, and the answer is different for all of us. Some of us love malicious characters who would sooner kill you than love you. In those cases, we may be a little unrealistic in our hopes. Here's how I see it. I think that this immense need, this love, is something so strong that when we meet our characters, it will be something that they can't deny. I don't know about you, but if I could meet one of my loves and be friends, I'd be fine. I think if we don't approach them like crazy, love-needy freaks, then we have a chance with any one of them. And if we finally find them and ruin it by acting like possessive fools, then they'll probably take it as they see it and get away from you. But if you calmly approach them and let them know the immense passion you feel, they may admit to it. They may not.
This guy has a way better chance of scoring.
I believe that anything with
first
the
guy.
heart which
He's got-
shows some sympathy to our situation.
He's got a rap laid out.
Uh-huh.
He does. So a
He's
third
a
guy
player.
joins in
Okay.
because this is a debate here. Like, this is not, there's no.
How should we
consensus.
approach our
Mhm.
our animals? Okay.
It's either Gilmon or Gaomon, and this is definitely a Digimon. And he says, I agree with Enigmamon and with the one I love. Gaomon is an affectionate, loving, caring Digimon. He would be happy someone likes him so much. Of course, he may not understand at first, but he'd grow into it, and then he'd eventually feel the same about me as long as I show him the way I feel. I'm sure Nanaki would be the same way. Maybe not as playful, maybe not as trusting, and maybe not as friendly as Gaomon would be at first, but he'd eventually get there. Nanaki's not a cruel person. He's kind-hearted and a little naive. Of course, there's a chance for both of you. Then, okay, let's just keep going. We had, actually, did you notice we had someone walk by?
Yeah, we had a couple people on the 5th floor walk by and give
They
us
don't
weird
like that
looks.
voice.
Yeah, they don't like that.
So let's take it
It's
back
a little
to
too close to
Taylor
home.
character.
Yeah, so okay.
On a more liberal note, if their psychology is similar to that of humans, and they have libido, then there's always a chance your character could be into you, even if he's not human. That would be interesting. Then,
yeah,
okay.
wouldn't it?
Then the super spastic one that they're gonna call security on me if I do again says that he hopes his character would be into him because he has a long-standing plan to marry him.
We're back to
Dude,
that again.
That guy that walked by ruined it, man. I'm gonna blame it on him. Why can't I come down
Just
into
do
your,
it.
into your
Do it.
floor
Do it. Come on,
like
screw
Go
him.
out, go
Screw
ahead
him.
and do it. Give
Come
it your
on.
best shot.
Okay. So, actually, here's a normal voice. So Steve, an unregistered poster, who could very well be the person who tipped me off to this all these shenanigans, comes in and says, "They wouldn't. You aren't their kind. Chances are they would just use you for your money and leave you. It's the sad truth. Get over it." And then Enigma 13 responds, "Well, that's a pretty sad view of things. It depends on who you're talking about. For example, if you're a Digimon lover, it doesn't matter if your Digimon loves you or not. It'll be by your side always. So you may as well add some intimacy to the relationship."
Oh my god. Okay.
That's hot right there. But for other characters, that may indeed be the case. The question is, will it be worth it just to have seen them?
I think we need to have a link
Wait,
to the thread because
can we
all
go
these
back to that
images.
guy's logic?
Okay,
He's
let's
saying
go
that-
back to it. Yeah.
He's
There's
saying that
no logic here.
since they won't leave
Bullshit,
you
right?
anyway, you might as well have sex with them.
Yeah,
Is that
he
what his
says,
point?
your Digimon, it doesn't matter whether they like you or not because they're by your side. So I guess
So you might as
anyone
well
here
bone
know
'em.
anything about Digimon?
I'm assuming it's just like Pokemon, and they're kind of slaves.
No, I have you know they're totally different.
They'll obey you no matter what you do. So you might as well, in his words, you might as well add some intimacy to the relationship. I shudder to think about when someone takes that kind of reasoning to their pets and everything else. In this world. You know?
Yeah, that guy shouldn't be allowed to have cats.
Oh man,
Yeah.
or children.
Or anything. You
Honey,
shouldn't even
what
be
do you-
allowed to have like a goldfish in a bowl.
Put the fish back, honey.
There's more.
I'm losing my voice from doing those voices, so I don't know if maybe we'll have to continue it next week. But this debate goes on and on and on.
Wow.
This is far from settled.
Okay, to
If
be
you need
continued.
if you need to chime in and you're listening, you think that maybe, oh God, Gabumon joins in. If you think that Gabumon or Miracle Maker or Nanaki Wolfmon or Enigma 13 are right, let us know.
It'd be interesting to hear what listeners think.
Yeah,
Do you
what are the
think that
opinions out there?
should you just go ahead and have sex with your Digimons? Should you respect them more? Do you think that they would actually like you?
Would they like you
Would they
back?
like you better if you played a little harder to get? Say.
You know,
This is kind of a love lines for
As always.
for what are they called? Yiffies?
Yiffin.
Yiffy love line.
We're so used to this stuff now that when we open it, there would have been a time a few years ago if I had seen this,
You would have called the cops.
there would be no way. No, there would be no way. I would not for a moment believe this could be true. In
Yeah.
fact, if you told me that you loved Laura Croft and you were wondering if she would like you back, I would think you're the biggest dipshit I ever listened to. But then when you flip it up, when you flip the script and you come back into the fucking Digimon,
Right.
I would not believe that at all. There would be
Right.
no way.
Right.
But now we're so used to it.
Maybe we could be like a call, like an advice line. You know, like love lines. We could have people call in.
Yeah.
With
Let's
their,
embrace them because we gotten so much
Right.
mileage out of these dudes. You know what?
call in
call
with
us
your
in.
problems.
We'll help-
We'll
we'll help
help
to-
you.
we're
If you're
gonna-
wondering if you should, not be so needy in front of your Digimon. We'll have answers for you.
Yeah, just give me your personal cell phone number, Jeff, while we're telling them to call in.
Yeah, call me at. Yeah, maybe
I've
not.
always felt I was grass type, but Squirtle is water type.
We could. There's some mileage there.
We're not making fun of these people, though. We are.
Dude, we did this exactly the first time
are.
we had Sonic Passions. You said the same thing, and
Oh,
I was
wait,
like,
shit.
I am.
Oh yeah, you're right.
We totally.
And then I got someone yelled at me on our message boards for being like, I don't know,
Insensitive.
closed-minded or something. It doesn't hurt anyone. I was like, well, that doesn't mean I can't fucking laugh at it. Like it takes me some restraint to not laugh at that, man.
Well, you're just
All right, I'm
closed-minded. You're closed-minded, Sean.
I don't think you should touch your Digimon, especially if they aren't able to protest.
Especially if they're not
there's a
into you.
Moral ground there you're crossing.
Especially if you're being needy for them. Why won't you love me?
And if they can only say Pika,
I've trained
don't
you.
Go there.
We need a documentary on this, in the way that we've got like Trekkies out there, which is great, and all of their there's documentaries called Okie Noodling about fishing in Oklahoma with your fist for catfish. You basically lure them out of. Anyway, there's documentaries on.
What's that about?
It's a type of just basically hand fishing. You use your hand for bait, and the catfish go into these mud holes, and they'll be very, very large. So you basically ram your
Just grab them.
fist down their mouth, and then they clamp up on it, and
Fucking hell.
then you extract it with all your might. Or if you don't, you drown. They pull you down under
God
and you
damn.
drown. And no, it's a documentary.
That doesn't sound like fun. You get
Okie noodling.
sucked into the earth by a fish?
Look it up. Yeah. But so if we got
What a great hobby.
if we got documentaries on this, Jonah style documentaries on this, then we need one on. I don't know what I'm asking for.
Yeah, be careful
I'm asking
too.
for it.
Someone's gonna start working on this
Documentary
tomorrow.
this crew right here.
Okay. Wow, we went to some strange places there.
We talked about nothing but games for the entire.
We did.
Yeah, this is all.
Okay.
It's all
half
good,
of
Jeff.
Post
Still
E3, we
finish
had a lot of games on our mind. So those of you who
Still had
listen
more,
for
too.
everything but games,
You made faces. That's kind of what happened. You made faces when we wanted to talk
killed it.
about games.
I know.
Sean, we're not done. Bring
I-
that Yiffy stuff back.
I had a stink face on. It was all too serious.
yeah.
It was like I sharted or something. I had a bad face.
1, 2,
That's
3,
it.
4. Sharpie.
We like to
and more.
shard.
Can we go home?
Okay, we're going home now. We're sorry.
5,
in
6,
general.
7, 8.
I'll save the stuff for next time.
is great.
Yeah, we'll say we got piles of paper here with other random
9, 10,
bits of humor
11.
on it.
Sharting is heaven.
Another song from
Keep
you
it
and Crispin,
going.
right?
We're done. We'll be back next. Oh, will we be back next week? I think we will.
Yeah, I think
we'll be
so.
back next week.
Why the
Check
hell
out
not?
Goldmember song. And we're out.
Check it. Hello and welcome to the GFW Radio podcast.
GFW Radio.
Do you like it?
Listen to our podcast. Yo, yo.
How about this one?
Crew of GFW, which is.
Do you like it? How about this one?
Why don't you shut up and farm Tiberium faster if you want to help me? Grandpa Sean.
Wipe that off your tourist destination spot.
This is Jeff Green, the editor-in-chief.
Is it those damn retro notes? Derek Gladstone?
When you did vote,
Ugh.
didn't you vote for games like Bratz Dolls and stuff? Ryan Scott?
Oh my God, Fantasy Star 2.
Sean Malloy.
Good morning. Dragon.
Is it Germans like it?
Well, there's a significant difference between an ant and an ant lion. And an ant lion. I've got this great idea where we're going to take Half-Life and make a miniature golf course out of it.
Do you like it? How about this one?
This Green's gonna kick his ass.
This multiplayer game sure is fun. Anyone? Hello? Fuck Retronaut.
Yes, that's what arcades are like, just porn theaters. You used to do that shit in public.
Games for Windows magazine, okay?
Smell of rotting corpses. Sounds awesome.
Smell like,
Uncle Howie in the
How could I not want that?
it would smell like Ryan's house or something. I don't know.
If you're going to take a vacation, don't go to a place where bathing is optional.
Yeah, I think the very first response was like, did her skill force go up?
Guess what? Other game magazines stink. That was our point of it.
I was just weird.
We'll put that quote in the front of our next issue. Our competition's lame. Yeah. Do we have anything else to talk about today? See, we need music. We don't have... That's why we're special here at GFW. Anyone who's on right now is a geek.
Du hast Rammstein, or no, I said Rammstein, like whatever, Rammstein, or are you a real lady, or do you only sound like a woman?
Man, if you're a grandpa, I don't know what that makes me. It makes me like dead.
Hello and welcome.
Hello and welcome to GFW Radio. We're all geeks.
Hey, Mr. Reflection President.
Yeah, just put it out there. We'll fix it later.
Do you like it? How about this one?
Reach the frame rate higher than 20 for 2 full seconds. Good boy. Hey, this is my second favorite podcast, Wild Trees.
Are you a kid?
I think it's great.
In a poop sock. A silk poop sock.
Silk.
Do you like it?
And Ryan's actually asleep.
How about this one?
Only on GFW Radio.
I guess I was a little angry. LOL. Guild Wars can die and go to hell.
What the hell are you talking about? Wow, every one of our readers is a geek.
Because we know what happened to nerds and what nerds are now. They just call themselves retronauts.
I love Windows. Have I said that yet? And games for Windows.
This One Up podcast is brought to you by Doritos Unlock Xbox Contest. Visit www.unlockxbox.com to turn your dream into the world's first user-generated Xbox video game.